be sure not to neglect the creative side of things. And within your own comfort zone, I guess, try to let your students or kids experience sort of a wide range of genres.
Hello, and welcome to the Arts of Language podcast with Andrew Pudwa, founder of the Institute for Excellence in Writing, or as many like to say, IEW. My name is Julie Walker, and I'm honored to serve Andrew and IEW as the Director of Marketing. Our goal is to equip teachers and teaching parents with methods and materials which will aid them in training their students to become confident and competent communicators and thinkers. Oh my goodness, we don't have anyone to interview today because Andrew's gone. What are we going to do? Mark, can you help us out?
Oh, Julie, hey, I didn't know there was anybody in here.
Well, there isn't anyone in here. Well, now there is.
Oh, cool.
Well,
I was coming in to check on the podcast.
Yes, and we don't have anyone to interview. So what should we do? Can we interview you?
Yeah, sure. That sounds fine.
Okay, great. So this is one of those when Andrew's away podcasts. Andrew's out traveling. It's a busy time of year for him. And so thank you, Mark, for stepping in.
Yeah,
Didn't know what I was going to do.
I walked right into this one.
Yes, you did. So as you might have guessed, Mark helps us with editing our podcast. And Mark, thank you for helping us sound smarter than we actually are. Really appreciate that. So in addition to podcast editing, can you give us a little bit of a background of what you do for IEW right now?
I am a big part of the monthly jokes. We have an illustrator on hand who will illustrate all of the art and stuff for that, and then they'll pass it off to me, and I animate it in After Effects. In addition to that, I work on the podcast, and there's definitely a lot more that I'm forgetting. I'm assuming general just like working on VidCat sort of project.
You're using language that
I'm
we
using,
don't know
I'm
what
using
that
language
is.
people don't know. In layman's terms, I work on a lot of product videos. So anytime IW has a new product or an old product that they want to spruce up, I'm usually in charge of editing that video.
Right. So basically, your job is video and audio editing.
Yes, that's it in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. So how long have you actually been working for IEW?
Yeah, I've been here since August of 2017, August 1st, I believe.
So August 2017.
Yep.
How did you first hear about IEW?
Well, for those of you listeners who don't know, I am actually Andrew's nephew. His wife is my dad's sister.
There you go.
Okay, I had to figure that out for myself.
Yes.
So I have been somewhat party to the machinations of Andrew and company for a while. So I believe I heard the name IEW years ago when I was much younger, but I don't think I really understood it until very recently. The job offer was introduced to me by Andrew. He just called me up one day, kind of a perfect timing for it, actually. I was just quitting my last job, which was working as a dishwasher. So a big step up from that.
The dishwasher was a terrible job.
It was a very terrible job because it was basically standing up on my two legs for 8 hours every day, and my back was just hurting. I was trying to get memory foam soles from my shoes, and that wasn't working either. So I was just sort of suffering there at this it's a very high-end cafe, but the kitchen was not high-end at all. So I was just sort of suffering there. And I just put in my 2 weeks, and I believe it was either my last day or my second to last day. And I just came home and I was really tired, and I was like, Mom, I'm not sure, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I definitely can't do this anymore. And I'm so glad to be almost done. And then I'd get a phone call randomly, and it's Andrew. He's
Nice.
like, I know you like to do video stuff. Do you want to come edit for IEW? And I was like, yes, please.
Except that you had to give up paradise to come and live here in Oklahoma. You tell us where you came from.
I came from the middle of California, so Monterey County.
Yes, not just the middle, the central coast of California, where it is beautiful almost all the time. So you mentioned that Andrew asked if you would do some video editing for us. Tell us about some of your history of learning video editing prior to coming to IEW.
Well, I think my first introduction to the idea of like making anything filmic on my own is a good story. Back in 2009, I believe it was, the first ever Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes came out.
Nice.
I went to go see it with a friend of mine, and I was just like, this is such a good movie. I have to get a camera as soon as I can, like go outside and do something. And we did, and it was horrible. But ever since then, I've kept that bug, that excitement for wanting to create new things. So since then, up through high school and early college, which is right around the time that Andrew called me, I do sort of my own projects, a hobby, really.
Sure. Now, I do recall Andrew showing me a video that you had done that he's in it.
Yes.
Yes. Can we link to that in our show notes?
Yeah, I believe that was a title sequence for a much larger video. I believe it was called McAllister.
Okay.
It was a very Liam Neeson-esque, like Taken style film starring Chris as the titular action hero.
Chris, Andrew's son.
Yes, Andrew's son.
And your cousin.
yes. And my roommate.
Right.
But he was the very like stone-faced action hero type of character. And Andrew was I believe he was sort of like a mafia don who Chris owed money to for some reason. And he was like, you need to go find my money, Chris. So it was very fun. I'm actually surprised, knowing more so now how busy Andrew is with all IEW, that he was willing to like, oh yeah, I'll spend a couple hours acting for you.
Yes. Well, it's family. Crazy. Blood is thicker than water. And he probably was trying to procrastinate and write an article and didn't want to do it. So he was happy to oblige.
Yeah, that's probably it.
So you yourself perhaps were not trained using IEW yourself. Is that correct?
No, I would say definitely not. And learning more about IEW as I worked here, going through all the training and such, I've noticed the differences more so. I would say that IEW is a much better structure when you're beginning learning than anything I ever experienced. All the steps make sense, I think. So I would have really appreciated it, but I'm just glad I sort of got around to wanting to write and wanting to create on my own. But definitely with IEW, I would have gotten to it a lot sooner, I think. Yeah,
I think a lot of our listeners can relate to that, Mark. I did not learn this writing method until my son was in 7th grade. So, you're still much younger than I was when I first learned of this writing method. So one of the things that I like to do with this podcast is ask my guest, you in this case, if you had a microphone, hypothetically speaking, in front of you and had an opportunity to communicate something to IEW teachers or parents, what one or two things would you want to impart to them? What pearls of wisdom would you want to share with them?
I would definitely say to homeschooling teachers or parents, be sure not to neglect the creative side of things. And within your own comfort zone, I guess, try to let your students or kids experience sort of a wide range of genres, a wide range of different mediums, whether that be a bunch of different films, video games maybe, or different books, different YouTube videos. I don't know. I've pulled from a lot of things personally as I was educated in writing and going through high school and sort of learning myself, being taught through YouTube tutorials on how to edit. I've pulled from a lot in my personal life, and every aspect of it has sort of inspired me in different ways and helped me understand different facets of things. So I think that's important to get used to approaching your curriculum or just maybe your everyday life from a bunch of different angles, and I don't know, getting as much ammunition in as you can.
We'll be sure and put a link in the show notes of our YouTube channel that has all of Andrew's jokes of the month, and his jokes are good, but to add that animation in there, that just adds an element that makes people chuckle. And I know I personally have enjoyed seeing your work, and we're really grateful to have you here on our team. So our array of products that we carry because you worked on the video catalog. Is there a particular product that you would like to gift to, let's just say, 5 lucky winners of a drawing? Is there a particular product that you would think would be helpful, thinking of that creative side of you?
I would have to say I would want to give away a guide to writing your novel by Lee Roddy,
the
author of Grizzly Adams, if you didn't know. I've I've gone through that myself, and definitely in my younger years when in high school, there were many times I was like, I want to write a novel. I want to write this huge, expansive story. And I definitely think a guide to writing your novel, as the title spells out, is a good step-by-step process to like really help you understand how to go about doing that and do it effectively.
Okay, so we'll put a link in our show notes to tell you how you can enter this contest to win one of 5, a guide to writing your novel. So, Mark, I know, you're young, you're energetic, probably the 8 to 5 or the 9 to 6 or whatever hours you manage to put in here trying to get all these projects done don't entirely fill your calendar. Do you have time to do other creative things?
Yeah, there's a lot of ideas I have, and a lot of those are a long way off, but something I'm working on right now with my boss, Michael, he and I and Justin, we're working on a podcast of our own.
Nice.
I believe we're calling it Department of Wizardry.
Nice.
Yeah. It's sort of a running joke around the office, so we thought we'd take it and run with it. But we are going to be launching our podcast on March 1st of 2019. You can find more information about it on our website, M45Seven.com. That is M, the numbers 45, and then 7 spelled out SEVEN.com. You can also sign up for our mailing list there if you want to see what we'll be doing in the future. So that's it.
Great. So assume that's up and running. That will also be something that we can link to in our show notes, and maybe some of the teens whose parents or teachers who are listening to this podcast will really enjoy your podcast as well.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So, well, thank you, Mark, not just for being here today and filling that empty chair. I didn't know what we were going to do, but now we did. But thank you for your contribution to IEW. Really grateful for you.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Thanks so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, you can subscribe to this podcast in iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, or just visit us each week at iew.com/podcasts. Until then, on behalf of Andrew Pudewa and the team at IEW, I thank you for the privilege of allowing us to partner with you on your journey toward better listening, speaking, reading, writing, and thinking.
Yeah, so thanks, Julie. It was a great podcast talking to you. It's time for me to get back to work. So I'll talk to you later. Those are my editor's keys. See ya.